Hey there everyone, and welcome to What Did I Miss, where today I will be breaking down 10 of the biggest questions after the WandaVision finale, properly titled the series finale. Instead of breaking down the Easter eggs and references of the episode like I usually do, I thought I would just get to the heart of the questions that a lot of fans have after the explosive episode. I myself was left wondering about certain aspects of the show that were introduced that we either abandoned or will perhaps be mentioned again in another MCU property. This is always more fun when I hear from you, so if you have any theories or questions, please hit me up in the comments and I'll for sure try and answer you. The next series being released by Marvel is the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and if you want to get yourself ready for that series, I would suggest checking out my video on the characters being featured there here, and I will link it in the description below. But I would not expect a lot of answers to come from that series, although the two did film at the same time in the same studio in Georgia during the production, so never say never. I honestly really liked WandaVision and thought that it produced some of the best scenes and characters of any MCU film, but it definitely did not solve all the questions it presented to the audience, which may make some people enjoy the finale less. So here I will try and answer 10 of the most burning questions that are left open after the finale, and give you my theories as to how some of these plot threads will turn out. I will also be reviewing some of the theories I released throughout the season while I go through this video, and I would like to thank the nice people out there that pointed out that I theorized that the Darkhold was involved in the show after watching just the first 2 episodes. I also got a lot of other things right, it seems, and if you want to hear my theories about upcoming shows and movies, be sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any. Also, if you enjoyed this video, you can help me out and support this rather new channel by hitting that like button for the video. I really appreciate it. Okay, so let's get into the 10 WTF questions you may have after watching the WandaVision finale. The Great White Hope, the future of the Vision. Even though most of us fans were prepared for a sad ending to the show, it was still heart-wrenching to see Wanda lose both the Vision and her children when the hex over Westview was destroyed. Even in that sadness, there were hints that this may not be the end of this odd family, and I will discuss my theories about the twins later on in this list. But I think that the Vision has the most direct path back to returning to Wanda after the hex version of the Vision, which we learned later from Wanda had part of the power of the Mind Stone within him, was shown to transfer some of that power to the new version that was built by Hayward. Even though this version retained his white appearance, his eyes changed to those of the actual Vision, and he even referred to himself as such before he flew off. This version of the Vision is also in the comics, and there he does eventually get his original personality back, and I'm guessing that we will see the same eventually here. I know that Paul Bettany, who I think did a great job in the series, is not listed in the cast of any upcoming projects by Marvel, but maybe a series like Armor Wars, which deals with Tony Stark's different suits and will include War Machine played by Don Cheadle, could be a place for him to resurface. After all, the Vision did start out as Ultron, a product of Stark Industries. The Darkhold, the future of Wanda Maximoff. As I mentioned, I did theorize that the Darkhold would be involved in the series, and I went into that book in depth in another video that I will link here if you want to watch it. It's funny because I took a lot of heat for bringing it up, mainly because it was already shown in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, albeit on the show Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. But I will go into a brief history and how I think it will now affect Wanda moving forward. We see in one of the credit scenes that Wanda is living in seclusion, which is a good idea because imagine what WandaVision would have looked like if Wanda had an outburst like she did in Westview in a larger town or a big city. But we also see that she is using astral projection to study the Darkhold, which is basically the book of total evil in the Marvel Comics. It was created by a demon named Chthon, who is credited with being the creator of black or dark magic, which seemed to be what Agatha was drawn to. Wanda, as the Scarlet Witch, is the most powerful user of magic, even more so than the Sorcerer Supreme, who happens to be Doctor Strange, who also used astral projection to study. She has all this without the power of the Darkhold, so having her learn this magic will almost definitely send her down a villainous path. The Darkhold can also possess its readers, which may be why Wanda is using astral projection to read it. But either way, I don't think this bodes well for Wanda to continue as a hero, and in fact may turn her evil for the next Doctor Strange movie. What about the children? The future of the twins. It was so sad seeing Wanda lose her children at the end of the episode, but while she was reading the Darkhold, she did hear them call out for her. This does give hope that the twins will be restored, but it may force Wanda to walk a long, dark road to get to them. In the comics, the twin souls are linked to Mephisto, who everyone assumed that we would see in the series, and hearing them through the Darkhold may be a hint that we see their backstory from the comics come to life. I've read that one issue with Mephisto is that devil characters are not very popular in China, and that Disney may not want to use the character because of that. So the twins may be tied to Chthon, the demon I mentioned as the creator of the Darkhold, and Wanda may have to bargain to get them back. But in the comics, they are part of the demon Mephisto's soul, and he takes them back so that he can come to our realm, which is what causes Wanda to really lose it and cause the House of M event, which she rids the world of most of its mutant population. Wanda does seem to have herself together at the end of the episode, but there isn't much a mother or father would not do to get their children back, and whatever evil demon is behind the Darkhold in the MCU may use the children to manipulate Wanda in the future. Just getting started. Future of Monica Rambeau. One character I might have wanted to see more of is Monica Rambeau, as it seemed like she was a major force driving the story for half the episodes and then absent for the other half. In the end, she got her man, well I guess Darcy did, and Hayward is seen being taken into custody, which will no doubt mean that Monica is the new director of S.W.O.R.D. We also saw her meet her contact that ended up being a Skrull, who are shape-shifting aliens that Monica met in her first appearance as a child in Captain Marvel. This alien also told Monica that someone wanted to see her and then pointed up towards the sky. I think this is setting up Monica to meet Nick Fury and formally take over S.W.O.R.D., as we last saw him in a spaceship in Spider-Man Far From Home, which actually takes place after WandaVision. But why isn't anyone talking to her about how bullets went through her while she was being shot? I don't know if these things are not a big deal in this universe anymore, but a human getting powers might be something someone might want to look into. I'm not sure if the series glossed over this so that the show did not spend too much time on her, but I look forward to seeing her take over S.W.O.R.D. while also learning how to use her new energy-based powers. You probably already guessed it, but I did a video on Monica and her powers in the comics earlier this season that I will link below if you want to know more about her. The Season of the Witch, the future of Agatha Harkness. I'm just going to say it right now, Agatha Harkness is my new favorite MCU villain. Kathryn Hahn nailed every minute of her performance, and I loved all the classic witch tropes that she worked into her character, such as her costume on Halloween, as well as her boots being left after a car was dropped on her, an obvious reference to the Wicked Witch of the East from Wizard of Oz. I was very happy to see that she survived the events of the finale and is left in a docile state in Westview by Wanda. The reaction to the character has been so positive that there's no way Agatha will not be making another appearance, and maybe next to Jimmy Woo, she's now the character that most fans are waiting to see where they will pop up next. Having her show up in the Doctor Strange sequel would be an obvious choice, but I would rather her show up in another series or movie and possibly be saved by another powerful villain and then them two work together. Maybe she will team up with Baron Mordo from the Doctor Strange movie and try and absorb more magic, as he was also shown to be doing that, but there's no doubt in my mind that we have not seen the last of this witch, and I can't wait until she swoops in again. False advertisements, the story behind the commercials. While I did enjoy the WandaVision series, I do have a couple of issues with some unresolved plot threads, and the first is the commercials. Now, every YouTuber has their own theory about what the commercials stand for, and yes, that includes me, but I feel like we never really get a reason as to why they even existed at all. If Wanda was controlling everything in Westview, then what purpose did the commercials serve? Were they supposed to be just random amalgamations of her trauma mixed with the commercials she remembers watching as a child? If this is true, we saw that she watched American television on DVDs, which famously do not have commercials, so why would she even connect commercials to the shows of her youth when they were conceivably not a part of them? They also starred the same man and woman in each, and we never find out who these people are. The fact that this is a self-contained miniseries means that we don't have any guarantee that this will be referenced again, so the commercials may be just something that us fans theorize on for years. The missing witness trick. Why was Jimmy Woo there? Another breakout character on the show was Randall Park as Jimmy Woo, who probably got himself added to a couple of future MCU projects because of his performance and the fan reception to his character. But the whole reason for Jimmy Woo to be involved in this story is that he was searching for a missing person in the Witness Protection Program. This seemed like it would be a big part of the overall plot, but it feels like it was just dropped halfway through the season. We know that it wasn't Agatha, as according to her, she arrived after the Hex was created, and it may be a man by how Jimmy referred to him. But outside of that, we were given no other information and the plot was dropped. This story was written so well and is so intricate that I have a hard time thinking that the writers just wanted to get Jimmy in the story, so they just invented a MacGuffin to get him in there. But in the end, it looks like that may have been exactly what happened, which is kind of disappointing. Ralph Boner. Seriously? There are various points of this season where I honestly think that the writers are trolling the fans. It all started with the whiteboard that Jimmy created early on in the season that seemed to contain all the theories that fans and YouTubers were making videos on, and continued on with the addition of Evan Peters to the cast. When he showed up, not only did everyone think he was the Fox version of Quicksilver, who has already appeared in 2 movies and was very well received, but he was even dressed in a costume that directly referenced the classic comic book version of the character. Fans also pointed out that the Spider-Man character J. Jonah Jameson, played by J.K. Simmons, seemed to jump from the Sony universe to the Marvel universe in the last Spider-Man film, so many expected the same with Pietro Maximoff, only to find out that none of this is true, and Marvel cast Evan Peters in the role as a totally different person, and was probably just trolling fans the whole time. I get why they felt they needed to do this, but it does feel like a big letdown. Not only because of the resolution, but I also liked Evan Peters' take on the character, and now know that we'll never get to see it again. Also, finding out that he is the mysterious Ralph, which was another thing built up throughout the season, was like a second gut punch. I also do not understand why he has super speed, but I guess Agatha imbued him with it when he was chosen to play her brother in Westview. But all in all, I think this was a bad decision, and I would have rather seen an outcome in which the character could still live on. Why the hexagons? One of the most frustrating unresolved plot threads was the continued placement of the hexagonal shape throughout the series. Since they started popping up in WandaVision episodes, I went back and noticed that they were being used by the Kree in the movies Guardians of the Galaxy, as well as Captain Marvel, so I assume that they have something to do with travel between dimensions or space and time. But they were never referenced outside of Jimmy Woo's YouTube whiteboard, and we are still left asking, what is up with all the hexagons? Some people have even pointed out that in the Sanctorum, where Doctor Strange studies, there is a book missing, and this book could be the Darkhold, and it was encased and locked within a hexagon. With all these hints, they have to mean something, and I really hope that this is not Marvel just trolling fans again. But here we are, and the series is finished, and still no mention of them. Loki is another series coming out in 2021 on Disney+. I wouldn't be surprised if the shape and its purpose were mentioned there, as the series does deal with dimensional travel, and I still believe that the shapes have something to do with that. The Luke Skywalker cameo, Paul Bettany and cast trolling fans. One thing I think is now clear is that Marvel and the cast of WandaVision had a lot of fun toying with fans these past 9 weeks. Early on in the season, Elizabeth Olsen was quoted as saying that there was a cameo at the end of the season that was on par with Luke Skywalker showing up on The Mandalorian. And unless I missed something, I think that this was either a misdirection or the actress not understanding the importance of the event she referenced. Paul Bettany was also quoted as saying that there would be a surprise actor in the final episode that he always wanted to work with, and fans were thinking this would be Magneto played by Ian McKellen or Professor X played by Patrick Stewart, when in the end it turned out that he was talking about sharing the scene with another version of his own character. These statements, along with a few other things left unresolved, really make me think that Marvel made an effort to confuse and misdirect fans throughout the season. From their perspective, they probably feel that the internet releases enough incorrect information to fans about their movies and series that they might as well control the false narrative. It is an interesting way to handle media, and I wonder if it will continue going forward. Well, that is what I think, but you let me know. What did I miss? Were there any other questions that you had? Let me know in the comments, and remember to like the video and subscribe if this is your first time here. Thank you for joining me, and I will see you next time on What Did I Miss?